and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is the social vortex and consensus reality. So it should be an interesting conversation, particularly when there is an atmosphere of upset that so many of us can be swept into currently. And we get to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the nature of reality and its fluidity. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling as you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, the social vortex and consensus reality. Fun stuff, right? I don't think we generally think about how we are subject to consensus reality. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. Today's topic is the social vortex and consensus reality. And really what we're talking about is how important it is to not only curate your own stories, but to curate the people you surround yourself with and the stories that they tell. So, and also the influences that we surround ourselves with. So we could be diving deep into social media or certain news outlets, and we could be getting all kinds of messaging. We often find ourselves in an echo chamber of information and social feedback. And the problem, I don't use that word that often. The challenge with that is that the stories that we tell become our reality, and the stories that we hear over and over and over again become stories of truth, which isn't necessarily validated or isn't necessarily in any way absolute, but we keep hearing these things repeated, and we cultivate sort of a trust and a experience of the truth of these things. It's an interesting dynamic that occurs. And why I'm speaking this is because there are many of us in the wake of the election who could readily fall into a deep sense of despair. and others of us that could fall into a state of greater anger and rage or vengeance, retribution. There are all kinds of vortexes that we can get swept into that then dictate our experience of what's real and what's not real. And it is ever so important when we know our own personal commitments to empower ourselves not only by our own thinking, which does not exist in a vacuum, but by the influences that we subject ourselves to. So if you're around people who are perpetually negative, people who are angry, people who are reactive, it's very easy to fall into those kinds of patterns, and it becomes more challenging to find one's own way to be positive, to be hopeful, to be kind, to be loving when there are influences that are hateful and angry surrounding you. And one of the things that I entertain as an ongoing hypothesis is that we're all part of a connected field. And our energy, our presence, our state contributes to that field. And so when we allow ourselves to give in or devolve to chaos and anger and vengeance and hopelessness and despair and all those very powerful vortexes of emotion that drag us downward and that disempower and de-energize us, what are we doing? We're incapacitating ourselves. We're complicit in that disempowerment. And so it's so important for us to take back the reins of our lives, to assert our sovereignty in our ability to cultivate our outlook. And yes, there are reasons for despair. There are reasons for hopelessness. There are reasons for anger. There are reasons for deep disappointment and frustration. And there are reasons for joy and hopefulness and kindness and love and possibility and hopefulness and optimism. There are reasons for all of it, and it has everything to do with how we focus our attention and how we craft our orientation. And it is beholden to us to do so. Nobody's going to do, well, people will do it for us if we don't. The media will do it for us. Social media will do it for us. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who is a person of color who was on social media, and somebody was saying something about on social media about how they'll see them on the plantation. And yes, this is horrible. What a horrible thought, and what a horrible way for another human being to treat someone or to interact with someone. Yes, there is horribleness. And at the same time, there are all kinds of people talking about how we get to band together and how we can find greater camaraderie and connection, and how it's beholden to us now to do so. and how there's hopefulness in that maybe we didn't have before because we weren't activated in the same way to cultivate those connections. It's all a matter of where we put our attention. And here's the thing, where you put your attention amplifies and multiplies. In our own experience, and in my perspective, my hypothesis at this point, in the field itself. And so one of the most powerful things that we can do as activists, as people who are looking to create a better world, one of the most powerful things that we can do is to focus our attention, our emotion, our energy on what's possible, what we can create, rather than allowing ourselves to be incapacitated by a perceived threat. And it's not to say that the threat isn't real, but we can respond to a threat in multiple ways. We can cower helplessly and hopelessly, or we can stand. We can be clear about our commitments. We can support the things that we want to thrive and nurture. We can make our voices heard. And it's so important in the face of these precarious times that we stand in our values, that I was hearing somebody yesterday say, I'm going to fight, fight, fight. And my response to that is, you know what? Haven't we had enough fighting? Maybe we need to find another way. Maybe rather than fighting, we need to redouble our commitment to creating communication bridges. Maybe we need to really double down on finding connection, on propagating kindness, on reaching across the divide to find commonality while also nurturing our strength of hope. Not hopium. I love that term. Hopium is kind of hope that isn't grounded in any kind of reality. It's like, I'm going to passively sit back and just hope for the best in the face of whatever. But wise hope that recognizes what is present, what the realities are, and moves accordingly into opportunity that makes itself present. When we're able, response able, when we're able to recognize and perceive those opportunities. And in order to recognize and perceive those opportunities for transformation and change and growth and kindness and making these words are all so loaded, but making progress, making the world a better place, making our connections founded more deeply in love. There are opportunities all over the place. So rather than fighting, what if we stand for what we believe in? What if we stand in love and take action from that place of love rather than the place of our traditional notions of conquest and domination and threat and opposition. It's hard. It's hard to step out of that paradigm. We are so deeply indoctrinated to perceive threat and danger. We are so deep. This person that was telling me about their experience of on social media was like, this guy's going to ruin everything. And how could God let such a thing happen? And the thing is that if we believe that there's some kind of intelligence that is governing the evolution and emergence of the universe, if we believe that there's some kind of perfection in life itself, or if it's a religious thing for you in God or whatever, if you actually believe that, then how could you believe that we've gone awry? Sometimes, well, first of all, there's a bigger picture. And sometimes things look terrible on the path to transformation. So many of us have experienced that in our own lives, where we've experienced these horrible events, what seem like horrible events, where we've had tragedies in our lives that then end up being transformative, that then end up giving us a sense of purpose and meaning and passion and direction and a place of contribution that we wouldn't have otherwise had. So what if instead of looking at the devastation, the hopelessness, the tragedy of it, yes, we get to process whatever the emotions are. I'm not talking about denying them. I'm not talking about pretending they don't exist. That's not a good thing. Not good for our health and our well-being, not good for our wholeness. But we get to process rather than wallow in those emotions and allow those emotions to be a catalyst that allows us to become in action, to become active in something positive. This is why I created Sustainability Now, which is a podcast that I've had for the past 6 years with my partner, Scott Billy, in that venture. It was because every time I thought about what we were doing to the planet, I just wept in despair and hopelessness and helplessness. And it was unbearable. And so Sustainability Now was my way to find hopeful stories in the world, to find ways to not only empower myself, but to empower others through sharing those stories and sharing those technologies and different ways of thinking and new perspectives, to let us know that, yes, we're facing a crisis and there's some remarkable things happening in the face of that. That crisis is catalyzing change in a way, on a scale that we've never seen before. And maybe that's the opportunity for us in this moment, is to redouble our intentions to create something better, to redouble our efforts, not to give away our power, not to fall into the helplessness and hopelessness and despair that is incapacitating. That is the way that power is achieved, is by disempowering others. And we get to claim our power, not in terms of guns and artillery and weapons. We get to claim our power in terms of virtue and value and love and choice, and how we govern ourselves, our own energy. our own emotion, our own experience, the lens through which we experience life, and that we propagate an energy of kindness, of a new paradigm, not this domination control garbage that has been the MO of humanity for who knows how long. It's time for us to emerge from that. And that's the urgency. The urgency is to shift our consciousness, to shift our beingness, to be able to move through these very challenging times from a place of peace, from a place of strength, from a place of kindness, from a place of connection, from a place of love. It's really time for us to wake up to our potentials. We talk about the power of love. Now we get to see it in action. Now we get to implement it. Now we get to be present to its power. Light trumps dark every time. And it takes a commitment to maintain that light. It takes diligence and commitment. And it's a practice. And it doesn't necessarily come easy, but I don't believe that there's anything more important. Because without doing that, without maintaining our integrity, our integration, our internal integration and coherence, without maintaining that, we're lost. And we can choose that from moment to moment to moment. Don't let yourself be swept into the social vortex of negative fear, hate, anger, opposition, conflict. Don't allow that. Step into your strength. Step into the space of connection, because when we're connected, when we're arm in arm, when we're related, we have an incalculable strength. Light trumps dark. Be the light. And it's not always the easiest choice. It really isn't. And we can exercise that choice. We have the power to empower ourselves by exercising that choice. From moment to moment to moment. It may take moment to moment to moment. It may take that diligent and effort to choose peace, to stop every 10 minutes in our day and to breathe deeply and find our centeredness. Whatever it takes to find that place of peace, do it. Commit to it. That's how we save the world, is by creating it anew, not based on all these failed dynamics. We get to create something new. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. If you put in comments today and I didn't respond, it's simply because I did not see them. If you want me to see your comments, you need to comment on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page rather than my own. So, as always, it is such a privilege and a pleasure to have these opportunities each morning to muse on what it is to be human and to share our hearts. And so, until next time, with deep gratitude and appreciation.